Hello everyone, my name is Wahid Lutfi. I'm going to show you on this video how to install Linux Red Hat Enterprise Linux version 9 as a VM. So I'm going to go to a slideshow here, and then we're gonna just open up the slideshow. As you can see that I'm going to demonstrate what is a Linux, a Red Hat enterprise version on a VM platform, which is the host operating system. In this case is Windows operating system, and I'm going to run as a virtual machine, a Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9, as you can see from this PowerPoint presentation here. So without further ado, let's get started. First, I'm going to just minimize this window here, and I'm going to go to the browser site. On the browser site, as you can see, this is MyWebUniversity free education videos, where I bring you a lot of videos related to computer science topics, whether it's programming language, operating system, database, network, chat GPT, cloud computing, any environment, whether there's discussion of AI or discussion of programming or something, I'm going to just provide you. So you can see like guides to stop hackers, chat GPT, if statement, and multiple scripting language, as well as programming languages, for statement, while statement. All of that one is introduced, as well as operating system, and whether it's Windows, PowerShell, command lines of Windows, graphical user interface of Windows, or Linux, Unix, Solaris, BSD, Mac. So we have a lot of stuff here. You just come in and join the channel and start learning. And I also have a lot of PDF version of documentation. That's all for Linux manual pages, as well as Unix and PowerShell and Windows, Solaris, CentOS, Red Hat, everything, Ubuntu. So you could just come and enjoy learning. Also, I'm going to show you the Red Hat website, which is redhat.com. This is the Red Hat main page. But in order for you to just install their software, you have to go to the developers.redhat.com. This is the site that you can create an account. The account, if you created a developer version, it is free. So you can have a subscription for Red Hat Enterprise Linux version, an ISO image that you can download from developers.redhat.com or access.redhat.com, this page. Once you create your account, you can have a corporate account or a developer account. The corporate account is not free. You have to pay for it, and then you get support as well. But for the developer account, it's free. So you can test the product and then learn from it and enjoy it and practice it, and then apply it at workplace as well. And then for me, I'm just doing this one because I have thousands of access to multiple these kind of machines in the past 20 or 30 years of my life. So I have had access to them, but and then I don't need to just do it for my own purpose, because I do use them on the at workplace. But I do want to just provide you this kind of demonstration so you can learn it for your school and work and other stuff. So wherever you want to learn it, this is the video is going to help you on that platform. I already showed you the Linux Ubuntu VM. Tonight I'm going to show you the Red Hat VM. So this is the access.redhat.com. Once you have the developer account, you can come and click on login page and then log in, and then just go on downloads, and then download the ISO image, which I have already done. So as you can see on this machine, on the downloads directory, I already have Red Hat Enterprise DVD version, and that's the ISO that I used, and I already built the system, but I'm gonna show you one tonight, and I'm gonna show you some of the issue with the mouse as well as how to fix that issue. Because sometimes with the Enterprise Linux version 9, out of the box, the mouse is not detecting properly. Sometimes it works like a funky kind of mouse. It is not giving you a good, smooth feel, look and feel at it, and so you cannot use it properly. But once you fix it, then it's okay. So I'm going to show you also the VirtualBox software. The VirtualBox software version 7.0 is available at virtualbox.org or oracle.com. You can download it using this download page. And for the platform that you do, obviously, whatever platform you do, they have software for it. And you can see here Windows host and the Mac OS X developers and Linux, Solaris, all those platforms, they can host VMs. For my system, because I'm running a Windows operating system, let me just show you. This is a Windows 10. And so I'm going to click on switch on this one so I I just go to this, it already showed that it's power off. The power was off. And if I just want to start it, it is done. But on this one, you have this option of setting. So whenever you create a virtual box, if you have funky keyboards that is not working or mouse is not working, for the mouse, I had troubles when I did it on the first one. Before we do the next one, I'm going to show you, before you start it, that you need to just go to system, you need to go to this one, pointing device, and instead of the PS2, by default it's CAN PS2, you need to change it to USB test, then your mouse is going to work fine. And then also if here you have to use a different USB version 3, you can add that one also here. But depending on your resources, you have to configure it properly. So now I have this one, and notice that this one was running with 2 CPU and 8 gig, but it's power off. That means all the system, if I go on my Windows machine, I go click on task setting. Notice on the task setting, it's not task setting, sorry, task manager. On the task manager, you can see that the system is very much efficient and all the resources that are there in terms of the memory and everything. I'm pretty good right here. And then looking at the process, if I click on the performance for the CPU is good, for the memory, and let's see, Ethernet disk, and then memory is here. So you can see a 6.3 gig is used, the rest of them 25 gig is available out of the 32 gig. So I have plenty to allocate for this virtual box. Then I have the confidence, I'm gonna close this one. I don't need this task setting also. So I'm gonna come back on the virtual box and I click on new. I have one on the, this is Linux Ubuntu, this is a Red Hat 9, but I'm gonna build a new one for this one. Eventually I may get rid of one of these Red Hat 9, but it doesn't matter, those ones are not running. It's just a hard disk space, and I have plenty of hard disk space there. So I'm gonna call this one Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9. That's the name. So notice it already picked up Red Hat 64-bit, but I have to specify the ISO image directory. So here I go there, and then I already have downloaded the ISO image from redhat.access.com, and that's the DVD version of it, which is this one that I have, Red Hat Enterprise. So once you select it, it says Red Hat Release 9.1 x64-bit DVD.iso. This is the full thing. If you don't have internet access, it will just find everything on there. So that is going to be the option. All these other options, I'm going to use the default. So here it's going to just give me a default name. I'm going to just say, let's say username, I'm going to call it Wahid. And then let me just put my full name, Wahidullah. So, and then here I'm going to type in my password. And then I want to say gas addition. This gas addition software is going to just help you to just kind of like share files and folders and everything, cut and paste between Windows and Linux. So this is also going to be like similar to gas addition for the VMware environment. VirtualBox also has that one for every VM that you do. Install in the background, I don't want to install it in the background. I want to do it on the foreground. And then the host name is this, and then the version, you don't have to say it, but it's okay. If you say it either way, you will know once you're logged on the machine. So this is good, but let me see why this one is a color. Host name, I'm gonna just take the underscore out, and then it was the underscore was the problem. So you cannot just name it with underscore, but you could say with dash, EL9, that would take it. Underscore, notice as soon as you type it in, even though the underscore is okay with everything else, but it was not allowing it. So I just did that one. I'm gonna try dash enterprise Linux 9. And that checked it, and now we have the button to say next. We're gonna click next. Here is the option that you can just give the memory. So I'm gonna give 16 gig, which is gonna help me install it faster. And then also the processor, I'm gonna give 4 processor. So here you allocated 4 processor and then 16 gig. And then and this one is okay. We already enabled it. One more thing on the command prompt. And notice here, if I go system info, by default, the virtualization part has to be already enabled. Here, see hypervisor requirements, it is already activated on the system. It was nice because when I got the mini PC T11 series, this one, and that is Pentium, not Pentium, Intel 7, and this one has 8 cores. It already had the hypervisor enabled. So I'm good with that one. I could just continue with this. I don't have to boot the machine and then enable the hypervisor, but it's already enabled when the hardware was delivered to me. So machine name and OS type is showing here that I selected the details of my username and all that information, hardware, the 16 gig of memory and 4 gig of 4 processors, and then everything else is there. The EFI enabled is false, and then about 20 gig. No, I want more gig. This disk space, I wanted 100 gig. Let's just give it 100, so I could just install addition software afterward and configure other things and play around as a developer there. So you can do a lot of stuff. And then, so 100 gig is pretty good. I have about 2 terabytes, so I'm not worried about disk space. I can always retard or decommission these other ones when I don't need it. And so this is going to just go through that same thing again. This time it says that 100 gig on this size, and I say go ahead. This 100 gig is actually going to get created in this VirtualBox directory, and then on the VirtualBox under the profile of the user. So and here, clear the screen, I say directory of VirtualBox. Let me just clear the screen, directory of VirtualBox VM. So if I say VirtualBox VM VMS, the asterisk is going to replace the space and all the other characters. So here, notice that you have that one, but on the Red Hat 9, so far we haven't installed it. It just has that VM. If I go to Red Hat 9 and then do this one, so far it's blank, empty. Clear screen directory here, there's nothing here. But now I'm going to just say, go ahead, start it. So I'm going to go back to the VM and then I say finish. Now it's going to just go through this and it's going to power up the VM. Once it powers up the VM, this interface comes in. I could just say, okay, go ahead. This is auto detecting mouse and everything else. And notice that at this time, I actually forgot to do the mouse stuff. The mouse is going to just be funky, but if it is funky, I'll just stop it and then we just redo the step and then go through the setting and then correct the mouse. Actually, before I do that one, it may just not work properly, but on the previous one, I already selected one. This one, I'm gonna just say power off this one. So power off right now, and I'm gonna go ahead make sure that the mouse is USB 2 there. So now I have powered off. It says that it's safe. I'm gonna go to setting on this one, click on the system, and then click on the option. So this one is actually saved rather than being power off. Let me just see if I have the option to edit that setting. It is saved. Let me right click here, clone setting. I'm gonna try to the setting and then the system. And notice that it is PS2, so it is gonna be a problem. What I'm going to do is that at this time it is in the save state. Right here, there might be an option to say discard save state. Yeah, I don't want to do the save state yet. So let's see if now it's power off. Now I should be able to go to setting, system. Yeah, I do. And now I have the option. I'm going to change it to USB tablet, and then I say OK. So now it is there. Now I'm gonna notice that this time if I go under system, it is USB tablet rather than PS2. It was PS2, so I changed that one to USB tablet. And then I'm going to just say start now. This time I should not have any issue with the mouse, and it should go with the same configuration that we already allocated about the amount of memory and the CPU and everything. So this is the screen that is there. We can also go on the view and then go in scale mode, so we can see it a little bit bigger. And that way you can see right now it's English. Notice that when I click on English, it's gonna allow me to go to the next button, and that is going to take me to this button. So the keyboard is your English, done. And then the language support is also English. That is also, I'm going to click on done. Then the time and date, I'm going to use Pacific Standard Time, which is Los Angeles, that's good. So when you click on the time zone area that you want, and it comes in America, Los Angeles, then you say done. And that one is done, then before we connect to Red Hat, you actually have to connect to your network. Once you connect to your network and then you say, this is connected to my Wi-Fi in this case, so then that's good. I'm going to just say, if this is not enabled, you have to click it. If you have an Ethernet cable, it will detect your Ethernet. If you have Wi-Fi, it go through NAT, network address translation, and it's gonna connect there. Now I'm going to go to the login page. On this page, I'm gonna just have to pause the video here because I have to type in my account information for it to make sure that I have access there. So I'm gonna pause the video for this part, and then I'll finish this part, and I'll come back to it. Let me pause it for a second. Okay, so I connected the software now. I have to select the installation source, and this is just the default is DVD. So we have already selected that one. Local media, which is on the ISO image that we mounted. The software selection, we want to do server with GUI. That's good. You can also come in and add additional software, securities, and other basic server, web server, anything, mail server. You could configure it, file manager, file server, anything you want to configure, or you can later on add it there. The installation destination is the local, the 101 gigabyte that we did it. This is the virtual disk image.
that is going to be on the command line here. On this one, it's going to be written. So that .vdi file, virtual disk image, right now is only 2 gig. It's going to be about 14 gig or something, but it's going to be dynamically growing when we are actually writing to the disk, so that we allocate about up to 100 gig all partition file system, whether it's root or user or var or temp, all of that together. And these are the files that are configuration files, which we call it metadata, that tells that the system what kind of processor you have, what kind of memory you have, how much is allocated, all that USB and everything. All that details are written on these files, and then the actual kernel and then the build and everything, user binaries, all of them are part of the image file, initial RAM disk and the bootloaders, all of that one are on the BDI that gets loaded when the system runs. So this is gonna grow as soon as we start the installation. Let's come back here and then select this one and we say done. So now all of that one is also selected. The kernel dump is already enabled. Network host name is fine. I'm going to just go to the next page and then set up the root password. So let's just set up a root password. That way we have a root access as well as sudo access. We could just do that one. And the root password has to be strong password and not less than 8 characters. The more characters, the better. And then make sure that it's uppercase or lowercase combination with some alphanumeric numbers and some special characters, and sometimes some long sentences, and you take certain words out of it and you put them together. So allow SSH to root, I don't need to because I'm in front of the console, but SSH normally you don't allow it as root, and that's the security hole. Lock the account, I don't want to lock anything here. So that is the account. Now we say begin installation. So begin installation, we'll just go through the installation because it's a 16 gig, maybe it takes a couple of minutes to maybe 10 minutes, and the whole installation will be completed soon, which is something that we can just let it go. And then I could pause it for a little bit, and then once it is done, I could restart the video. But I'm going to show you a few things while this is done. So bear with me because that's also helpful. So some of the packages that are getting installed, whether DNF is using it or YAM is using it to install it, or PM, all those packages and software gets installed on your system. The configuration is done, the GUI part, the binaries, the command lines, the shell scripts, all of the shells. Whatever package that is not there, you can always do post installation after the Red Hat version is up and running. Since you have root login, you can just use DNF to update it, and then you can also use the software update to install it there. And there's a number of tools you can do, individual package or system-wide upgrade or updates on the system. The version currently is 9.1, but later on, if new packages are there for the same sub-release, like 9.x, whatever, 9.5 or 9.6, then you can just update it to that. And if you do a major upgrade with version 10, obviously you can download it or do an in-place update also. There's those options with it that is supported. And if you need to do that one, you definitely need to have the developer's account or corporate account so you can enable the subscription. And there's something called subscription manager. That binary from command line, you can run it to just activate your subscription. By doing the activate, now all the repositories that are on Red Hat 9 are available for you, so you can do software update or patches or any kind of issue that you find. You can create a case with Red Hat and then
get it resolved. But if you don't have the subscription, then the system is kind of like useless. You cannot use it for any purpose. You can use it like for practicing things, command lines and everything, but as soon as you have an issue and you need support, you basically need that subscription in order to download any software. So that's why a subscription sometimes is for developers for one system or another one that you get it is free. But if you want it for corporation, it is paid by Red Hat, by you, and then you get support by Red Hat. I'm going to just pause this video at this time, let it finish, and then when it comes in at the end, we will just resume. Okay, as you can see that the installation progress completed. It was showing progress, but it is 100% completed. Now the system is ready for me to reboot. And you can see here that the licenses needs to be activated, which that is something that I have to use subscription manager. I'm not going to show that part because it requires login and password. Once it is done, then the system is basically available for mostly all the upgrades and update patches and everything, post installation, any additional software that you need to download and install, it will be available for you. So this says terminated. It should be just coming up. For some reason, when it does something like this, that means that the system needs your help. Let me just see what kind of help it does. It says it's still running on this one, Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9, and it should be coming by itself. But if it hangs like this, says terminated, and it is not coming, we just could say power off the machine and then power it on back. And we just click on here, start. This should bring the system up. This status is just basically telling you what is the system doing at this time. That's too long for just not responding anything. Hopefully it didn't damage anything. Let me just close this one. Okay, for some reason it is just still hanging. So I cannot close it here, I cannot close it here, I cannot do anything here. So what I'm going to do is use the operating system Windows 11 to just shut down the process. And by doing that one, I need to come up here on the task manager to see if I have a task manager here. Somewhere it is everywhere I have these icons that is not showing me area that I can click on a space. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna close some of these ones so I have some area that I can do this. It's too many of these are open. And then now I have this space here and I can right click here and then start task manager. So what I want to do is every process that are VirtualBox, I'm gonna terminate those ones. See that these processes may be hanging. So you could say end task or just closing it, and then also add this task and the VirtualBox. Now the VirtualBox are closed. I come back here on the VirtualBox here, And then just clicking on this one, you see this one says aborted. And then I'm gonna just say start on that one to see if it does the start okay this time. Because the files were written to it, it should be coming back normal. Auto capture, this one auto capture. So it looks good so far. That doesn't hangs, that means it's gonna just come up. And as you can see, it came up. And this is the screen that you're gonna get when you start. So you click on the start up. Let me just move the recording software out of the way here so I can see start setup. And then here I'm going to click on the privacy. That's location. I'm going to just leave it on, that's fine. And then escape this one. Some of those information is not needed. I'm gonna write my name. And then that's the username that I'm going to log in here. Obviously, you can just choose whichever one of these icons you want. So for now, let's just use, there's a nice cat here, there's keyboards and which one? So let's just use the surfing. There, I never surf, but I love to swim. And so, and that's, I'm going to do that for now. So let me just type in my password. Again, the password is strong, and then it has to have combination of lowercase and uppercase, and it has to be more than 8 characters or at least 8 characters. And then says the startup Red Hat Enterprise, all done. Now it is going to start it, and then now it says welcome to Red Hat Enterprise. If you want to learn, so at this time I don't want to take a tour, but you can take a tour and start practicing it. Since I'm very familiar with everything on the Red Hat, I don't need to take a tour and just watch through those ones. And then notice that the register system was showing up here. You can also click here and then type in terminal like we were doing earlier, and then become root here. And then once you become root, you can run the subscription manager and do the work. But cat etc red hat dash release is just showing you that it's 9.1, and cat etc or s dash release it is showing you details of Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9.1 and all the details of where the software came from. And if I say DNF list, notice that all the package are there, word count minus L, it's that money, and then DNF or say RPM minus QA, word count minus L, that list is about 1100, and these are the RPMs. And then if I run top, notice that it has 16 gig instead of 8 gig, the previous one that has. Also, in terms of the CPU and memory, everything were good. I'm not going to go through all of these ones because we already did. But if you look at the free-edge, you can see that it has about 15 gig. And then uptime is also, the load average is only 0.4, which is very, very efficient. If I go LS CPU and then 5 more, notice that CPU, I have about 4 of the CPUs here. So 4 CPU with 4 cores, and then you can see that. And also, if you do cat/proc/mem info, 5 more, then the 16 gig is available, and then how much is free? 14 gig. Notice that when you run the top command, here it says 15 gig, but only 1 point some gig is used, and 14 gig is free. So we have enough and all these resources. And then here, clearing the screen, type in ID, I'm root, but if I say ID Wahid, is not there, but ID Wahidullah is there. So let's see, exit out and then ID here Wahidullah. That's all lowercase, so ID Wahidullah, it is available. So when you root sudo sudash and then say ID Wahidullah, that will show up. And then also ID of root, ID and dash UN, and that shows you a name ID dash U shows you the ID of root is 0, and then similarly for the group of the user 0, group N is also root. Similarly, if I say ID on this one, ID dash U is going to show that 1000, ID ID dash UN is going to say what, and then ID dash G is going to say 1000, ID dash GN and name is going to show what. So those are some of the information that we can talk about it another time. But the important thing is that this machine is up and running, and you can see that the 100 gig that we allocated is all in here. 59 gig is on the root partition, 31 gig is on the /home partition, and the rest of them on boot partition and other ones. So the boot partition itself is, you can see all the initial RAM disk, VM, Linux, all those ones are available for the kernel stuff. But if I go uname -r, this is the revision or the kernel build 5.14. That is there. If you say uname -a, it gives you the entire details. That is there. Uname -n give you the node name. Uname -s give you the system Linux. Uname -o gives you the operating system GNU Linux, and so on. Uname -m for machine type. Uname -p for platform. Uname let's say whatever dash kernel name. You can say that a lot of these options and these other ones are there, and -help will give you everything here. So if you do, like for example, open a terminal here, just for the safety of like showing you what packages that are coming here. So like calendar they already have there these commands, and then a date is there, and so some of the commands are there, df -h, clear screen. At this time, if you say man df, it gives you manual pages. At this time, I want to just show you if a package is there or not. By default, Python 3 already there. You can see it's here. So I'm going to exit out of Python. If I say Python 3 - version, you can see it, then dash uppercase B will give you this. GCC, if it is not there, you need to install it. So you could say sudo and then dnf install GCC. And then if it does not have it, there maybe you have to do G++ or something. I'll look at it and see why it is not finding. So you could say dnf search GCC. And then you see the name of the package that are there is GCC version. And then let's get a couple of things here. For DNF search G++. So the GNU C++ compiler should be G++, and it is not finding it. If I say G++ -- version, it's gonna say it is not found. And then GCC -- version is gonna say not found. So let's install them. I'm gonna say DNF sudo su- clear screen DNF install on GCC. The reason it's not installing it, it is not the, I don't have the subscription. So if I just do this one, it says that, okay, we are not enabling the repository since you don't have the subscription manager. So let me pause the video. I'm going to enable subscription, and then we just get it done. So in order to do that one, actually, I have to run the subscription manager, but the commands are subscription manager space list to list it. So like right now, if I say subscription dash manager list, it shows that it is not registered, and it says the system is not registered. So in order to do it, I have to say register here. And then it's gonna prompt me for username password, which I'm gonna type in, but I'm gonna pause the video first. So I don't give that information out. So this time I already registered with the subscription manager and then attach the subscription. So you type in subscription dash manager space register, you provide the login and password, and then it says that it's subscribed. Actually, it's going to give you a subscription number, and then you just say subscription dash manager space attach, and I'm sorry about that. So you do a subscription manager space attach, and then once it is attached, I just add some salt in it. The video is gonna look funny. But what we're gonna do is do subscription dash manager space attach, and then it will be attached. And then at this time, you come back, I clear my screen so you don't see the login password stuff. Even though the password is encrypted, I just don't want to see the login either. So it is safer that way. And then you could see that it is good until the next 5/09/2023. So it is only for a month. So then I have to re-register it or something to get it the next month. However, it works. So sometimes the developer version should be free for a year. And then the next thing that we are going to do is just now, since we have it, let's just do DNF install GCC. So this is going to now find the GCC, and it is gonna install it, and then I say, okay, great, it is installed it. I could have put -y for yes, so it didn't prompt me. Now GCC -- version, it tells me that I have the 11.3 there. Similarly, if I say DNF install G++, then it's gonna just go there. Again, I forgot to put that -y, but doesn't matter, I could verify it. Okay, that's great. G++ -- version is there. And then if I just want to use Python, so Python 3 was already there. If I say import like requests, by default, if it is there, you see that there of request is there. So some of the standard packages that are coming with it, it is going to be there. But if I say import NumPy as NP, and that package is not there, now I could just go out here, clear my screen, and say pep list, and then pipe more. Notice when you do a pep command not found, let's just do a pep3 list, pipe more. If pep3 is there, it was not found, so then it's gonna prompt you, say, do you want to install it? You say yes. Yes. So now it's waiting for the pep3 to be installed, and actually it did install it in pep3 list. You can see all of them there, and then if you say grep -i request, it is there, the version 2.25, but I don't see NumPy yet. See that? So now I can say pep3 install NumPy, and then just get NumPy working. And then at this time, if I just say not import, Python 3, and then say import NumPy as NP, and then now dir of NP, it is there. We will, if you need to know how NumPy and other ones works, I have about 8 videos on my Web University free education videos. Please watch those ones. They're very handy for everything that you do here. So at this time, I'm gonna also look for which Jupyter. If I don't have Jupyter Lab, I'm gonna just install it, say DNF or PEP. Let's do it as PEP install. PEP install Jupyter Lab. Once Jupyter Lab is installed here, you say which Jupyter Lab for Jupyter is gonna which Jupyter. You have to type it like that. So now I have it. I'm going to just say exit out of this one. Now I'm on root myself Wahid. So I'm gonna say Jupyter Lab and just run Jupyter Lab. It's gonna open Jupyter Lab on port 888. Notice that since the browser network, everything is working, it's gonna just do that one. The software update is successful, registration, all of that. I'm gonna close that. So here I have Jupyter Lab open already. If I wanna just go to this one, so I don't see the files, I only see this. And then I have option of changing the theme. Here I want it darker, so it looks nicer for me, for my eyes. So I'm going to just say, let's say, run a command like gnome -terminal. Notice you can just run these commands from command lines also. Now I open this one. I run this command top, and then when I'm done with it, I just say Q and exit out. I'm back on Jupyter this. If I want to open another terminal, say gnome font viewer, and then you just run it, it just opens it for the font viewer. Similarly, if you just say, and instead of font viewer, let's just open a calculator. So a lot of the commands that are there, you could just practice it from Jupyter Lab here. In addition, if I just want to say, go ahead now, say import numpy as np, and then just create an array of np.array, and then I want to say 10 numbers, and then just say print a, and then just use that one as an example. You can see that it's there 10. But if I say instead of the 10, I could just say not 10 numbers. I could say a range, and then I could say actually the numbers, the array, that when you created an array, usually you put within a list. So if you say you want a 2-digit 1 and 10 in there, to one-dimension array, you can just do that as well. So when you do this, now notice that it's there. And then if you say, give me the type of it, say info.numpy.info, and then a, you could get all the details of that one, whether it's the size of it or anything. I must have typed in one bracket parenthesis less, so I'm going to correct that one. You can see that it gives you the details of that array, the number of dimension, the size, the rest of the details that are there. So, but I wanted to just create an array with a range of, then let's say start with 5 to 25, and then increment of 5. So we could just start with that up to 5, and then up to 25, so stopping at 25, and do that one. So let's say this one, you can see that this is doing that, but instead of printing the information about it, the size, we could just print the A itself, you can see that this is the value that we get. If we change this one to, let's say 200, then it's going to be much larger. And then you can just do a lot of stuff with all these Python modules. And then this is just an example of this. So I'm done with this demo. I'm gonna close the Jupyter notebook here. Under the file, somewhere here, there should be a file on it is all blocked here. Yeah, it's right here, file. So you could say shut down. Shut down, and I don't need to be running that one. I'm going to also close this Firefox, I don't need it. And then clear my screen here. And then since I'm done with this demo, I'm gonna just say shut down -H now, hold the whole system. Now this VM is gonna be stopped and we're going to be done with this video. I'm gonna post it for you. And thanks for your time, thanks for watching. So it is a little bit slower on the shutting down. By now it should have been coming back to me. So when you don't see your cursor, you can use control with the C, the right control character, that's the host, and then it will give you the cursor. So then you can see this is running, but it will shut down because I did say power off. When it is completed, it's gonna get synced and power off. So at this time, I'm gonna be back in here, and this will be eventually will come up with the power off. But let me just take you back to MyWebUniversity free education videos. Make sure you subscribe and then watch more videos and make some comments. Some people are making very nice comments saying that this helped me a lot, and I really appreciate all the efforts. And I do really appreciate your nice comments as well. Like these Linux manual pages, somebody says that I found out the treasures because it's about 6,600 PDF files. And then there's a lot of things with PowerShell, Windows, and Linux, and that I produced here. So it should be good for developers and students and people that they do research there. It should help you. And now the system is powered off, you can see here, and the system is powered off. So that one is closed and I'm good to go. Have a nice one. God bless you all and take care. Bye-bye.